Board. Board games, it's what I'm singing about. Board games, it's what I'll talk about. Today I'm going to answer questions that have been asked by you. Maybe not you specifically, but some manner of talking about you. Like people like Claire Payne, who showed me questions before, and Ellie Blues, who's also got a question. And that's the end of the song. So thank you for watching along. Hello everyone who's watching. I am Bez, and the eponymous Bez of Stuff by Bez. It is 10 a.m. and as of last week, as of last Friday, this has become a daily tradition for me, and it's been a lot of fun. I hope it's been fun for you as well, watching along. This is going to be the regular Bezzy breakfast board game Blether. So today it's going to be just about questions. If you have any questions, hopefully to do with board games, but I will also allow some questions that are not about board games. Obviously, keep it respectful. Today's just about answering questions and having a chat together and having a bit of fun together. First, I do want to kind of focus on a few regular features, as I call them. Like, what is something that you've enjoyed recently? What is something that you've enjoyed maybe in the past day, maybe in the past week? Something that makes you smile. Let me know. Let everyone know in the comments what you are enjoying. We're going to talk about something brilliant. I'll go through games that I've been playing, which is just a couple of games that I played last night. And yeah, some happy news and personal highlights. And then I'll start answering the questions. So, firstly, daily highlights. Daily highlights. So, I think that my highlight of my day has been flicking through this book. I have still been enjoying it. Thank you, Dr. James Chapman. Your lovely note made me smile, and it's got such things as no one becomes a bishop without a beating. That's a proverb from Iceland. What does it mean? Well, there's no sweets without fire from Egypt. It's got lots of lovely proverbs that it's generally fairly obvious what it means, and there's a whole ranking of the whole measure twice, cut once, that different countries measure different numbers of times. I think there's like one country that says measure 100 times, cut once. I mean, that's totally impractical. What's that all about? But this book is making me smile, so let's hear it for comic books. And let's talk about brilliant things in general. I want to talk about paper. I mean, without paper, this would not exist. Without paper, this would not exist. Without paper, this would not exist. Or this. You get the idea. There's lots of awesome things about paper. Paper allows me to draw things. I mean, yeah, paper and ink. But you could make marks on paper however you want. Paper allows you to record information. And using our technology of writing, you can write things down, and then other people see these symbols. And then these symbols are kind of turned into words, and then they go into your head. It's like someone speaking to you from years and years ago. Is that not a crazy thing? And so, yeah, let's hear it for paper, but also all the associated things like pictures and words that come up on paper, and just not just giving. Genuinely, this is amazing. Like the fact that I could play a game using paper, and yeah, we have access to paper, which I don't think we appreciate. I mean, paper's been around with us quite a while. I mean, probably going back to papyrus from the Egyptian times, but I'm sure there's a really interesting history there. So, yeah, that is the brilliant thing that I want to draw attention to. Sometimes it's nice to just appreciate these things. So, Milosh, if you are with us, thank you very much for saying hello. Jean, I don't know if you're awake or not, but hello if you are. Andrew, your question, you won't be seeing this unless you're actually watching it, so I will reply afterwards. But yes, you can watch all of these on YouTube. It takes a bit of time to go onto YouTube. Facebook, it's almost instant. You can basically watch it anytime you want. And Alan Morning, thank you very much for watching. And yes, paper, pencils, and pens. And there's Jess, my lovely friend Jess from Thailand. Hello, Jess, who's been talking about things that they've enjoyed. So Jess says, I've very much enjoyed the 5 minutes high intensity interval training workouts and a lovely meal. Fresh dragon fruit and smoked salmon on a whole grain toast with butter and steamed kale. Plus, a wonderful walk in the sunshine. Oh my goodness, that sounds amazing. Um, so just for a bit of kind of, what's the word when you put something in context? Yeah, for a little bit of context, Jess doesn't live in the UK, so it's not 10 a.m. So Jess has been awake for a bit longer than we have if you're living in the UK. So Jess has had a bit of more time to do stuff, but that sounds awesome. I normally do a bit of workouts in the morning. I want to say that today I did not do my workout. Instead, I joined with the Nottingham game designers because they've got this big meeting. It's on Google Hangouts and it starts at 8:30, which is like, whoa, that's crazy time. But I started this thing and now I'm getting up earlier in the mornings and it's like, well, I'm able to join the Nottingham board game designers on their online gaming chat because normally that's only once a week and it's only for people for Nottingham. So yeah, I am. That was something that I've done, and yeah, paper, just paper for quarantine. You can draw on it, you can doodle on it, you can make little games. I mean, these are games that I've done using the L deck, and if you want to copy, then you can buy one for £. Let me talk quickly about games that I played, and Alan, don't worry, I will message Andrew, or if you can reply to Andrew's comment, that would be super awesome. Thank you very much. But if you're watching this whilst you work out or watching this whilst you're doing, whatever you're doing, I'm just happy to be part of your life and thank you very much. And Jess comes up with this amazing quote: you can change your life on paper. I mean, how could you change your life on paper? You could write an autobiography, but with fictional bits. I remember Calvin and Hobbes, Calvin talking about, hey, I'm going to write a fictional autobiography. I'm going to make a version of myself where I've got this, I think it's like, oh, in this version of my life I've got to flamethrower or something crazy like that. And you can just make up a story about yourself, or you can draw a little comic, or you can just start making things, and by making things, by the action of what you're doing, you're changing your life. It's so true, Jess. Yeah, let's talk about games that I have played in the past day. So every Tuesday, 8 p.m. UK time-ish, like it starts at 8:05, and tomorrow it's Thursday, it starts at 8:10. I do a live stream of board games. Yesterday it was lovely. We had Andrew Dennison, Heather, two other people, Tom and someone else, Chris. Yeah. Anyway, it was a lovely thing, and we were playing two games. First, we played Mini Muckle, which is actually where these are from. So, yeah, you can see that I scored 25, 27, 29, 29. I lost the first game. Then second game, 28, 29, 28, 27, 29. So Chris is clearly the best at Mini Muckle. And so this is going to kind of lead into one of the later questions about, do I always win my own games? Now, Mini Muckle, I'm still very proud of it. It's a short game using half the L deck. You can get that if you reach out to me. I will actually get you, I'm going to put up the print and play onto my web store quite soon. So because of the situation, the way it currently is, I would normally charge about £1 for the Comic Sans version and maybe £5 for the nice version. For the nice version, just during this time of crisis, I'm going to charge £2.50 for it. For the £1, I guess I'm also going to charge half price, let's say 50 pence. and you'll be able to get it. I don't want to give it for free because I believe that my work has some value, even if, I do believe that if you've got the ability to print it out, then hopefully, you should be able to afford the 50 pence or whatever. And that's not even going to be the main cost of the thing. But yeah, with that, you will be able to play Mini Muckle, and that's not. I've talked about that before. I'm proud of it. It's a word game. People are enjoying it. But then I played Q4U, which I can give a link for if or yeah, Q4U is a game by Isaac Shalev. It's available for totally free. It's still not quite finished. There's about 27 ish cards in the deck. It should be increased, but there's these funny questions like, what's a hobby, what's a thing that you want to stop doing, or where's my bits of paper, what's something that's on your bedside table. And then I wrote cheap ass games, because you want to write the longest answer that you can without going bust. So you don't want to have the longest answer, because the person with the longest answer will kind of not get as many points. They'll basically only score 3 in a way, but also everyone else will get points for their longest answer. So then you get things like, what's your favorite dessert? You don't just write tiramisu, because that's not long enough. You write a very big tiramisu, or you write eating earwax, even though that might be something you don't do, for a hobby you should break. Or for something you made for breakfast, because you've got to use all the letters of the alphabet. A few quail eggs. Or where would you like to go on holiday? Jakarta, Malaysia. What's your favourite dessert? Lent chocolate. And what would be an interesting flavour for ice cream? Hawaiian pizza. Hawaiian pizza would be a totally interesting flavour for ice cream, and I still stand by that. Chunks of pineapple. Anyway, that was something that you could see last night. It's a really nice game, and if you want to play games with your friends via video chat, that is a really cool game. And let me actually find the link and paste it into the comments so that you can maybe check it out if you so wish. Here. So that is a link to the word game. You could totally play it with students, I believe. You could simplify it a little bit. I don't know if anyone here teaches English. I know that's something that Jess did a little bit of. But yeah, it's really fun, and well done to Isaac Shalev for making such a thing. They are still working on it. The rules are not the final rules, so you can feel free to change them, and Isaac will appreciate any comments. So that is what the games that I have played yesterday. And tomorrow that section might actually be null and void. Oh no, wait, tonight I am playing games with people. Yeah, I just seem to be playing games with people every day. That's basically the highlights of my day, if I'm being honest. That's like, and also this. So let's talk about other things that I did yesterday. Yesterday, I did a really quick workout with the hula hoop, did my spinning. Oh, the Google Sheets say you need access? Oh dear. I think I pasted the wrong link. Yeah, let me repaste that. I pasted something that I was yeah, sorry about that, everyone. That was the wrong link. That was a private thing that I was sharing with someone before about a personal project that I'm doing. That's, yeah, not a link that you're meant to be able to access. So it's brilliant that you aren't able to access it, because that's my personal stock levels of everything. Which is, yeah, basically, oh, I'm going to sell out of Kitty Cataclysm. I should mention also my stickers, cat stickers to amuse you. That is a thing that is going on right now. And we have, if you are based within the UK, you will be able to get 14 stickers for £2 or 28 stickers for £3. So, yeah. Let's, sorry, I've got a little bit of a problem, technical problem. Okay, so we're back. So what was I up to yesterday? I did a bit of hula hooping. That was great fun. I mean, do you do hula hooping? I don't know if anyone else does hula hooping. Let me know in the comments. If you do, like, a nice simple exercise that I've been doing is just getting it spinning round one way, then first turn around the same way, then spinning round one way and turning round the opposite way. See if you can do that. And then try it with the hula hoop spinning the opposite way, because just it's naturally the case that with a hula hoop, one direction is always going to be your easy direction and the other direction your difficult direction. And if you turn against the spin, that's a bit more tricky. So this is like a workout that I've kind of started doing. I try to turn as many times as I can. I count them on my fingers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh man, you can't hula hoop. Jean cannot hula hoop. I mean, I don't, that's not meant to shame you, but I'm sure there's lots of other things to do, and I still think you're super awesome. Jessica ordered a hula hoop, but they had sold out and is looking forward to getting one because hula hoops are really fun, and hopefully you will get one soon. And yes, I don't know if it is actually increasing my core strength, but I have found that I have actually, I think, lost a tiny bit of weight because I've got this skirt that when I got it was a zip up and I couldn't quite get it up. But like recently, I've been eating sometimes I've been eating a bit of Gundy. So yesterday I had, what did I eat? I had like a full meal, and then I like think it was some noodles, and then I ate like a whole bunch of chocolates, like a chocolate bar, and I had like 2 tonics tea cakes, and I had like 2 tiny little Easter egg chocolates that I've still got. And I was just relying and zoning out and watching a film, Chocolat. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was the film that made me eat so much chocolate. Maybe I'm really easily influenced. But in any case, I'm getting rid of that DVD. I'm just working through all these DVDs that I've been getting from the charity shops. But yeah, that's a bit of fun. And yeah, Gundy, just to explain, Gundy just means rubbish food, like Gundy, food with no nutritional value. So sugary stuff. And poi are super awesome. I mean, I don't know where you got your poi. I had some poi that I actually put on fire a couple of times. My poi were I went to, true story, I went to Thailand in 2005, I believe it was, after the Indian Ocean tsunami, and then I helped out. I rebuilt some stuff and I did some digging, and also I spent some money there because, like, at a certain point, they're just trying to get back into all the tourism. So it was a lovely place. I went to Bangkok for a bit. I went to Koh Phi Phi, Krabi, and someone else. Anyway, and then I had a little bit of a tour around. And these poi that I got on Koh Phi Phi, they were so much fun spinning around, and when you set them on fire and learning things. And I had a little trick that I kind of invented where I spun them around and jumped over them in a kind of mixture of poi and a hip hop move that I'd seen. And poi are super awesome. I probably wouldn't be very good at them right now, but it is super awesome. And apparently Jess has got a new trampoline and a skipping rope. I think that this leads into the brilliance of toys. I mean, just toys, from the whole notion of a thing that you can play with. I mean, what is a toy? That's like a really big philosophical question. It's kind of like, you've got a trampoline, that's a toy because you're using it for pure entertainment, and skipping rope. But the difference, to my mind, between work and play is that play is when you're focusing on the activity itself, whereas work is when you're focusing mainly on the output. So if I'm doing hula hooping and I'm focusing on the fact that, okay, it's going to lose me this many calories, I've got to do this much, then that becomes just work. And it's like, but if it's like, okay, I'm going to try to do this much. Let's see if I can. Let's have a bit of fun because I'm enjoying it. Let's kind of move how I want to, and let's see if I can do some squats. Not because I've got to, just because I want to see if I can, and experimenting and playing with your body, playing with these tools, playing with these things, and living your life in a playful manner. I think maybe that's an important thing to always be aware of, like, because there is so much joy to be had in the moment, and if we're always focusing on the end result, maybe that takes away from our joy. Do you know what I mean? I mean, maybe if we are, just focusing too much on, okay, I can get sometimes into a mindset of, I want to finish watching all these films. And if you do that, then even watching films becomes work. If you say, oh, I want to have played all these games, even playing games can become work. If I say, okay, I want to kick a ball against a wall 100 times, that in itself is becoming work. But then if you say, okay, I want to kick the ball, I'll see if I can do it 100 times, but I'll just kind of have a bit of fun with it. And if I don't do it, you can still have that goal. I mean, we can still play games and be playful about it, whether it's Kitty Cataclysm or the Mind, or whatever other game that you're playing. And we can enjoy it with a goal in mind, but still, it's important to focus on the big thing. Yeah, Jess, you're a lot more succinct than me. Better to be in the moment. Thank you. So, I was talking about what I'd been up to yesterday. So I watched a film, and then I tried to do bits of writing. Oh, one important thing. So this is a total secret. So I know, just totally keep this between ourselves. So I have a game. I'm not going to say the name of the publisher, but we're kind of talking about them possibly taking on a game that I've been co-designing with Tiz Creole. So with Tiz Creole, I've been working on a game called Seize the Power. It's a game all about discrimination, negotiation, subjugation of power, and we playtested it a bit, and I showed it off to two publishers. Both of them really well. I showed it off to one publisher, and then I kind of mentioned it in passing to another publisher. I was like, oh, I would really like to make a game about discrimination. Can you show it to me? And I showed it to them, and I was really honored that they were then interested and wanted a copy for themselves. But I think that there's the first publisher that we showed it to, we're hoping that that will all work out, and we're under contract negotiations. So they've sent us a contract. Now they've sent us, after we had a bit of a discussion, we met yesterday for 90 minutes, and then they've sent us a second version of a contract with marginally more favorable terms. And I'm basically really looking forward to going through it and being in a position where I can say, this is the company that I'm working with, and I'm really excited to be working with them. And it's not a company I've worked with before. It's a very different kind of game that I've worked with before. Tiz is really focused on getting this into educational points where school children can talk about these core concepts of discrimination and subjugation of power and what that means, how people rise to power in crazy ways. And it's a really sometimes a game like Hawaii or In a Bind or Kitty Cataclysm, it's good because it allows you to kind of escape from the moment. And I'm not saying that's not valuable. Of course it is. And I'm insanely honored that people are able to maybe play yogi or whatever to distract themselves. And this that I was talking about, this is a distraction. It's entertainment. And there's something so pure and joyful and important about entertainment. But there's also something so important about just having games that can be a little bit more far-reaching. And I believe that games don't need to just be fun. I believe that games are a medium, not a genre. So in the same way that films are action films, comedies, but you've also got some really serious stuff, I believe the same can be true of board games. And I'm really, really excited to be part of that. Anyway, so that was basically what I was up to. And then I did a thing, and my live stream, and I was going to try to do some writing, which I didn't really get to. But yeah, so that was what I was up to yesterday. What was I talking about next? Oh yeah, I don't know if anyone in the chat has played any games. If anyone in the chat has any more things that they want to share, things that have made them happy, then please share. Alternatively, now is the time when I would appreciate any and all questions that are respectful, and you can ask anything about my board games or board games that I designed or process of creation. I've worked with King's College London, with Alicat Games, with Gigamic, Surprise Star Games, and a couple of other companies that I won't mention just yet. I've got a few years of experience, which is kind of crazy to think now. I mean, I started this all in, well, it's kind of been a lifelong work in a way, because my first memory is literally of a Spectrum loading screen. And back when I was away, I used to, draw little maps and say, oh, if there was a side-scrolling platformer, this is how I would be doing things. And so, but it was about 2008 that I started really getting into board games, and 2011 that I went to my first convention, the UK Games Expo. And then, 2016, I'd been there every year, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And in 2016, I came back as an exhibitor, and it was so amazing. And so, yeah, if you want, I've been to loads of conventions. If you want to ask me about anything about conventions, or it can go a little bit personal, but just please keep it respectful. Okay, so, yeah, Jess is saying that they're going to trampoline whilst they watch. That sounds awesome. I just want to say that sometimes I literally get a hula hoop. I don't know if I could do it whilst live streaming, because this room that I'm in right now is a bit overcrowded. And yeah, but I do sometimes hula hoop whilst watching games. So let's go to our first question, which is from Jessica Jane Sankey. Have you had a different type of experience of creative inspiration during quarantine? Has your mindset regarding your work or play been in any way different, in a positive way or otherwise? I mean, those are some big questions. I mean, that's got some far-reaching implications. I mean, so I would say that, yes, for those who aren't aware, my game 3mil, which I might be able to, so this entire book, let's go back to, yeah, this entire book, this number of pages, each page, I don't know if you can see that properly, but each page is basically a game day that I've played with people. This was the first game, and because of the nature of the games that I've been playing, I've been doing roll and writes. It was all after Aircon, great convention. I'm so glad I went. When we were there, people were clapping elbows and feet. We weren't shaking hands. And things were clearly different. Things were clearly up. And I came back, I was feeling a bit down. Someone had given me a bit of crazy time on the internet. And I spoke to Sally Jones. Sally Jones was like, yeah, that's a problem person. And we were a bit sad because we both like swing dancing. Swing dancing's been cancelled. But then we were like, hey, let's get together. Let's, you're normally in Sheffield. I'm normally in London. I mean, we still are. I mean, this is the amazing Sally Jones, by the way. Just quick shout out. Sally Jones makes amazing stuff called the Crafting Jones. If you want stuff made out of cards, check them out. Crafting Jones. Anyway, so Sally Jones, we arranged to get together on Tuesday after Aircon to play a game together. And I invented a game. We playtested it. Mark Cook of Aircon joined along, played along, and then we got some feedback where everyone said, oh, that's what I enjoyed, that's what I didn't enjoy. And that game changed quite a bit. And you can see like I became a bit more economical with I used a lot of space there. Then that was like other games that I started making, because even during that convention, Festival was being cancelled, and I thought to myself, in this world where conventions are being cancelled, it is like a whole new world. And what's the point in making the game Seize the Power? What's the point in that right now? Because yes, it has some purpose, but people aren't going to be able to come together to play it. And it made me feel like what was the point? What was the point of all this creation that I'm doing? I want to make games, but let's do something different. Let's make games that people can play from home. Let's make games that people can play whilst I'm here, you're there, and we're interacting via video. And then I tried other stuff. I tried a game involving rolling dice. This never got very good. then I tried the first game that I'd played. Okay, this is all about making words of different lengths. I said, okay, it's only 1, 2, 3, and 4 letter words. And then again, the made this game, which is called Five Cell. I never made the rules for that. Ellie quite enjoyed it. So I wasn't too keen, and just doing different things. Drawing. It's been like a lot of word games that I've started doing, and then Freemail basically finally got to that way, and that's been a brand new game that I've designed, and I've been doing playtesting just to sort of say, hey, things aren't quite as they normally are. I'm going to try and work on other things. And yeah, then Mini Muckle, I started saying, hey, can Muckle be played using this situation just via online? And hey, if it can be played, then great. Let's make a simpler version for kids, because I heard that Ali was playing games with school children, and if any of you have any children that you are maybe struggling to entertain as much as you would like, I have a word game and also a numbers game now that I believe are quite good for children. I would say the numbers game probably around 5+, the word game maybe around 6 or 7+, 6+, let's say, because I've had a 6-year-old play it. So I would say 7+ to be kind of safe. Anyway, that's something I was thinking, okay, school children, let's get some more games that I could maybe write up. I have found that writing has been a lot more difficult for me. Maybe it's because I've been doing design for this situation, and I've been playing a lot more games, if I'm being honest. I've been playing games on Tuesday and Thursday, which allows me to do little bits of playtesting. And Friday, I've been considering playtesting. And Wednesday with the Board Game Broads, who sometimes allow me to do bits of playtesting, and also Sunday every week with the Board Game Broads, who allow me to do little bits of playtesting. So then maybe it's natural that I make more games and I've got to write more rules, but it's the writing which is the bottleneck for me. That's the really energy draining thing. I'm going to just reduce Jess's comment just because it's taking too much of the screen. So have you had a different type of experience of creative inspiration? I think absolutely, mainly because I'm trying to design for a different experience. Now I'm not designing speed games that people are in the same room and are putting 2 fingers on each pile of cards to show there's a match. I'm not making games where you flip over things and then you shout outwards, because how could you even do that with the lag? A real-time game like that is insanely problematic via digital. And I have been making more games that you can play via video chat. Has your mindset regarding your work or play been in any way different, in a positive way or otherwise? Has my mindset been different? It's easy to look at the negative, so I'm going to spend about 1 minute, literally at most. Negative, I've found it difficult writing and I found myself lacking focus. That's basically it. But let's talk about the positives. Firstly, I found that we talked earlier about the whole restrictions breed creativity. So if I'm going to take it as a truth that having a new restriction is a new way to have a new creative output, that means that this restriction of what's a game that can be played via video chat means that I am going to be able to make new games. And some of those games are still going to be fun to play, like Mini Muckle. I have played it with my housemates, and it's actually Mina's favorite game and of the deck, which is quite cool because, you know, I worked on quite a few games and there's no way that I would ever have made Mini Muckle where it's like, okay, let's have 20 half the deck, let's have some wild cards, let's have much simpler scoring. And these things came together to make it a very unique game. It's not just different, it's actually like simpler. It's also qualitatively different. And having these new restrictions has allowed me to make new games and do new things. Also, I found myself be having some more opportunities to playtest, maybe not playtest the kinds of games that I enjoy making the most. I've not been able to playtest speed games or dexterity games, which I really love. But I have been able to playtest you know, word games, and I've been able to playtest games. I have been able to make things. And so that means that by the end of this, it's not going to be a case of, oh, I've done nothing for the last few months. I have been able to carry on making things. And so that's super awesome. And actually, I found myself meeting a wider group of people. So the Nottingham game people that I met with this morning, there's no way I would have ever met most of them and been to their coffee morning, as it's called, were it not for this quarantine, because things are going online, and that widens up the accessibility, which is a totally awesome thing. And regarding play, I have found myself pay more attention to myself, saying, okay, I am going to get into a daily routine of, I mean, I've struggled with some basic things, if I'm going to be totally honest, like brushing my teeth. I, started again, but so I've got some, this is genuine hand on heart, very embarrassed, but I am trying to get better, but it's just such a intense thing to focus on. I just have a real, I don't know what it is. There's this whole thing about since I came back from aircon, I've just been it's kind of a thing. When I get depressed in some ways, it's a thing that I stop doing, if I'm being honest. But I have been focusing on, okay, I've started doing things that I do feel able to do. I resumed doing that a couple of days ago. You can do the maths. Please don't fill me with more shame. But I went back to doing more exercise. I've started doing daily things, and it's like, okay, I didn't do anything the previous day, so I should do something today. Oh, I did something yesterday, so I can do something today, or I might not do it if I don't want to. So I'm kind of allowing myself an alternate day off if I want it. And that's how I work. And I think that there are definitely going to be some habits that I try to maintain, and some habits that I try to get back into. And hopefully after this time of isolation, we'll all kind of emerge better people, but we will have to see. So thank you very much for the question, Jess. Now let's have a question from Claire Payne, which was before this went live. Claire Payne gave a message via Facebook. I've met you at a few gaming events. You're so friendly and welcoming. I expect not everyone you meet at these events is as friendly. So which gaming event do you think has the friendliest visitors? So that is a question from Claire Payne. Thank you very much. Which gaming event has the friendliest visitors? I think that I'm going to say the little one in Wales, Bastion. Yeah, if I had to pick one, that's my answer. Bastion in Wales. So games do facilitate different environments around the table. In the same way, different rules for different conventions facilitate different environments, and different something like a code of conduct, which people are starting to pay attention to, and then maybe writing down. And when you see a code of conduct that says, hey, we do not accept transphobic or sexist or discrimination based on any of these things, that then might give someone courage. Like it gave me courage when I went to Compulsion in Edinburgh. I want to give a shout out to Compulsion. That was actually the first time that I felt, okay, I'm going to dress up in all my things as I want. And I went to, maybe a little bit glam. I was wearing, I think, 4-inch heels, but there wasn't a lot of walking at that convention, but that was, and also those heels were literally just for the one day. But but this convention made me feel like, yeah, I can dress up as I want. I can, be who I want, and I've got the conventions back, kind of keeping my back, figuratively speaking. Like if anyone gives me any beef about it, if anyone starts giving me any hateful speech, then I will be able to do something about it, because this is clearly set out as not okay. And the organizer is saying, hey, do not do these things. And something as simple as, it should be obvious, but the way that conventions react to people, the way that conventions say, hey, if something's happening, here's some safety measures in place, here's someone that you can get in touch with. Going to LARP. The LARP world is wonderful live action role playing. For those who don't know, live action role playing can be insanely emotionally traumatic, because when you are role playing someone who's different, and you might be shouting at someone, expressing some anger, and maybe the anger isn't directed at the other individual, and it might be that you are playing, for example, a really bad, hateful person. So you might be doing bad things to someone else in the context of this game. And there is that context. Firstly, you have to talk about the separation in LARP of the player versus the character. And now sometimes the emotions of the character bleed into the player, which is what they call bleed. So like if you're playing a character who is a bit withdrawn and maybe a bit isolated and a bit depressed, if you've played this character for quite a few hours, if you played it, some LARPs can even last multiple days. If you are playing something for that long, it's natural that after a while, you are going to then feel all these emotions. And so what they do to combat this is they've got amazing safety mechanics. So LARPs, for example, they have a safe space where you can go out to decompress, to just say, okay, this is the out of character zone. No one here behave as you are in character. So if you are going back, then you don't, because maybe you're having a big argument, because even within something like a romantic comedy, even if you look at a genre of film that's meant to be light-hearted, you've still got stressful moments, you've still got arguments, because that makes for a good story. Now, within a LARP, you are going to have arguments. There are going to be moments potentially that make you as a player cry. And if it gets too much, you can take a step back to this decompression zone. In the decompression zone, everyone's like, okay, maybe they want to be left alone, but if we do interact with them at all, we've got to be super nice. And that is super important. And anything where there's like, quite often they've got small communities, and it's even a situation of, hey, if you have any worries about any of these people, please let us know and flag it up. And then they kind of treat it as if it's an extended family. Now, the bigger convention you go, the more it's going to be, hey, here's some people that aren't quite as invested in it. But let's talk about LARP a little bit more. So as well as having the decompression zone, they've also got post-game debrief. Now, what that means is after the game, they say, hey, let's talk about what we did as our character. Let's talk about why our characters are different to ourselves. Let's talk about the fact that I was shouting at you for 5 minutes, but I am sorry about that as a person. I hope that you're okay. And then the other person normally says, oh, yes, it was absolutely fine. It made for a good story. It was really enjoyable within the context. And so you've got that sort of check-in with each other, and you really care about each other, because when you are dealing with such heightened emotion states, it's really important to check in. And yes, you do have safety officers, like in the Smoke, this wonderful London-based LARP festival, which runs one weekend every January, February, I want to say. And they are actually opening up to LARP submissions, and hopefully they will run next year. We will have to see. Anyway, so at the Smoke, they've got safety officers. If you ever feel like, oh, someone's being really horrible to me, or hey, I'm feeling like something's gone wrong, there's always a number. There's people with green sashes that you can say, hey, I've got an issue. Can you help me? And if you need to leave the room, for any reason, you're always allowed to do that. And that's super awesome. Having a safety officer that you can dial the phone and say, hey, I've got this issue, having someone that you can count on. And at Aircon, they have, little bits of these measures in place, but it would be potentially good to have people at UK Games Expo. Let's talk about the ambassadors. I think it was at UK Games Expo 2017. Yeah, so 2017 was the last ever time that I volunteered. After having been a trader in 2016, it was my last hurrah. And it was also the first year that they'd ever had ambassadors. I was one of the first ambassadors. I wore a blue shirt, and these were not just ambassadors in the old sense of, okay, pointing people around, but going around and saying to people, hey, you look a bit lost. Where would you like to go? And you've got to know yourself where things are, or maybe help them with the map, or if anyone's looking like they've got any difficulty. And if you had anything to ask, you would ask one of these ambassadors. I would love for UK Games Expo to have a sort of senior ambassador where these are the safety officers, where it's like, hey, if you've got any issues, like if someone's being an arse to you, or if someone's being a bit mean to you, frankly, and you need to talk to someone about it, or if someone's behaving in a way that is unacceptable, let us know via this number. And sometimes such reports are hard to know what to do with, because there is always the potential issue, especially when you've got a convention of 20,000 people, or false allegations or things that are too much. But they're just having someone that you can reach out to and say, hey, I've got this difficulty, and having someone who's trained in speaking to people, in understands mental health, understands how difficult it is when someone's expressing some hatred at you, or some misogyny, or some transphobia, or whatever. But I think that UK Games Expo do a wonderful job. Let's not forget, when I think that Bastion, the reason that I talked about Bastion is because in Bastion, it's in Wales, it's in Conway, and it's literally a youth hostel. So it sells out. It sold out last year. If it runs next year, it will definitely sell out. So I'm not advertising it. I'm not saying, please come along to this. They don't need more people. In fact, what I'm saying is, this is a lovely model for gaming conventions. Please run your own. What they do is they find a youth hostel that it's off season, so it's actually not, it's normally closed during the winter. So then at the start of January, they're like, hey, let's everyone book the entire youth hostel. So this entire youth hostel with maybe 50 whatever rooms might be more than that. So it might be nearly 100 rooms. But anyway, it's about between 50 and 100, let's say. Everyone living in this youth hostel for this extended weekend is a board gamer. Everyone has come for the same purpose. And so what that means is you come downstairs, you've got this open shared kitchen, you're making your breakfast, and then you're seeing these people and you're basically living with them for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days. And it's wonderful. Sometimes you organize little walking trips together, or you go out together, or you get food together, or maybe sometimes you cook things together. You can do lovely things like Yvonne Sang, who's a lovely, lovely person who makes edible games. And edible games, that's a game where you literally eat the components. This is one of the most fun things I've ever experienced. So the edible game that we played last year was the Order of the Oven Mitt, where it's kind of like chess. You are moving these gingerbread squares around, and if you manage to get your knight, which is kind of like a marshmallow on 3 twiglets, you get your knight to move on to another gingerbread square, and then if you get it onto the right one, then everyone in your team gets to eat the thing. So you're basically trying to get to the nice tasting things, and you're like, oh my god, I really want to try that. Can we manage to work out how to get it onto the jammy coconut things, because oh my god, I've never seen them before and they look scrumptious. And so there's the joy of trying to win the game mixed in with the joy of just eating the things. And this year Yvonne Sang made another edible game where we were all dressed up in fancy dress, and I think, I put on my best clothes. It was almost like, I don't know, like a century thing, and some people had like really beautiful gowns and things, and so we had like a beautiful tea set because it has a bit of ceremony, and then the actual game was like sandwiches. Each group had three, so each group of three had three pairs of sandwiches. One pair of sandwich would be a plain sandwich. One pair of sandwich would be the jammy sandwich, and one pair sorts of sandwich might be a different type of jam. So it would be strawberry jam, plain, and apricots, for example. Apricots and ginger, let's say. And apricots and ginger was the poisoned one, that you were the poisoner, and then you were tasting one, but you had the antidote for one thing, and then you had to. Now the king was the person with the strawberry jam, and then the king, in a regal act of benevolence, wanted to share their lovely sandwich with either the pauper, who was the plain sandwich, or with the other person at the court, who was, unbeknownst to the monarch, a murderer. And so basically, the person, you would taste your sandwich, you would find out who you are, but only the monarch would actually say, hey, I am the queen, or I am the emperor, or I am the empress, or whatever. And then the monarch would say, okay, well, how was your sandwich? Did you enjoy the do you like ginger? And then you'd kind of try to guess based on what they were tasting, looking at their faces while they were tasting it, and say, okay, that's the person that I think had the ginger sandwich, so I'm going to swap with the other person because that's the one that makes me win the game. And there's a lovely aspect there. And these are the kinds of games that are just completely unsuitable for big conventions. When you've got a big convention of 20,000 people, I mean, yeah, in those kinds, even a convention of like hundreds or 1,000 people, you're going to end up just playing these normal games. I mean, the Mind isn't the most normal game. The Mind's actually really, really innovative. I mean, if you've not played the Mind, absolutely, this is one of the best games of like the last decades. Yeah, the Mind. And games like my own, where it's just, okay, here's a game and let's all play it, and you can have a lot of fun with that. But then you get together in Conway, and then suddenly you're playing games where you're literally eating things, or you're playing games where you're playing Magic the Gathering, but with people that you've gone to town with and that you've spent an intense long weekend with, or that you're playing Two Rooms and a Boom with 20 people, but it's not just 20 people in a crowd of 2,000, it's 20 people in the crowd of maybe 100. And that means that you're going to get to know these people really, really well. And you play, what else? You play sometimes really long games. Like you might play a game that literally takes 8 hours, like the whole day. And then you say, okay, we're starting this at 12 o'clock sharp. If you are not here, like we're going to just start without you. And then you play a crazy awesome game, and then this is like a game that you'd never normally have the time for in a bigger convention. Like I especially wouldn't, because I'd normally be working, like showing off my own things. But even at a convention like UK Games Expo, that's not designed for people to sit down and play long games together. UK Games Expo, I mean, I'm not saying that the people are friendlier at Bastion. What I am saying is that Bastion encourages friendliness. I am saying that the concept of like having a small-ish number, a 2-digit number of people in a single building, and then saying, okay, we're going to just play whatever games we want together, that is the way to have the best convention. And so wherever you're living, literally, if you're in Thailand, if you're in Scotland, if you're in, where's anyone else? In somewhere else in England, or wherever you might be watching. Maybe you're in America and you're watching this after the case. Like maybe a thing that you can get people together for. I mean, Paul Grogan apparently of Gaming Grows did it, where they had people over in their house and they were saying, hey, we're going to get together for these 2.5 days, and I can only invite like 10 people. That's the way to do it. But then that's a lot of work for you. That's a lot of work for whoever's kind of, people have to really be cleaning up after themselves. And sometimes you're going to find things you might end up getting a bit annoyed at someone. But if it's in a youth hostel, yes, you might have to spend a couple of hours with everyone else, but then some of the guests are going to be staying behind to help out. I mean, and if you can get a band of like 2 or 3 organizers to say, hey, let's take over a whole youth hostel, that is, in my opinion, the best recipe to a convention. Yeah, that was a question from Claire Payne. And I see that's actually, I seem to be rambling quite a bit. We're almost at 11 o'clock, which is around the time when I normally stop this. But talking a tiny bit more about conventions, I do want to really, really give a shout out to all the amazing things out there. I want to give a shout out to Cannes Festival International de Jeux. The fact that they have a place for people to hold their buggies so they can go in with their little children, and the fact that in France most conventions tend to be free to enter, which is lovely. And then you make friends with people who don't normally play board games, and it's a little bit about evangelizing. Like I played Dragonimo with some mums, and who were saying that, whoa, this is quite complicated. We're really impressed that you picked it up so quickly. So I'm like, yeah, I play a lot of games. You don't understand like how many games I play. But I didn't say that, but it's kind of like, yeah, we had a good time together and they enjoyed it. And that's fundamentally what it's all about, sharing some time together. Because, and if you're at UK Games Expo, you will meet some lovely, lovely, friendly people. Same at Aircon. That's a wonderful thing. And Aircon's small enough to where I say, oh yeah, hey, I know you. Hey, after we finish working, can I get to go of your game? That looks quite good. And then you get to see people fairly regularly at Aircon because it is, I think it starts at Thursday now, so it is 3.5 days, which is enough time to get to know some familiar faces. And secondly, it's kind of small enough. But at Aircon, it's kind of like a small number of the fraction of the people who are there that you're maybe going to get a chance to properly meet. Whereas at, yeah, something like Bastion, I would say by the end of it, I look around and I'm like, yeah, I've played games with more than a quarter of the people around these tables, and at least maybe a quarter of the people around here, I know their name. And I really struggle to remember their names, but I work hard so I can maybe stand a small chance of remembering them next year. But it's kind of just by virtue of being small that it is even better. And that's the honest truth. And yeah, Jessica Jane Sankey says some lovely things. Sounds like great friendship and even marriages could come from these smaller conventions. I think that's absolutely true. And I also want to talk about the fact that it has oops, I need to share this thing. Oh, this is really bad. Something's happening with my computer. Yeah. And even with big conventions or big systems where people get together regularly, like World of Warcraft and things like that, where people do spend time together over an extended period of time and see each other regularly, yeah, that's where real relationships can form. I want to talk about, yeah, it is absolutely brilliant. And let me get rid of Claire's question because I think I have answered that in thorough detail, possibly more thorough detail than anyone wanted. How can I share my screen? Okay, that screen sharing is not working for me right now, but I am going to give a personal shout out to my own Kickstarter one more time, which my Kickstarter is running for about one more day. So if you would like if you do like stickers, if you do like cat puns, and if you like, basically, if you like cats, puns, and stickers, you'll almost certainly like these things. If you don't like those three things, then my Kickstarter's not for you, because it's basically stickers with pictures of cats with puns on them. And so if we get enough backers, I will be going for an 8th image, which will be either the musician, the catchy, or the cataclysm. But already there's quite a few stickers that have been done. We've got the catchier, which is a cat all about maybe being a little bit grumpy, but still thinking you can enjoy life, because catch and the catnap, which was a recent thing, these are all being turned into stickers. And so if you would like a bunch of stickers, you can get at least 14 stickers for £2 within UK, or 28 stickers for £3. So double your sticker fund for £1 extra. Or if you're anywhere else outside UK, then you need to pay £2 postage and packaging. That is a thing that I'm doing. And let's talk about things we're looking forward to. If you're looking forward to anything, please let me know. I am personally looking forward to getting some rule sheets written. That's a thing that I have to work a little bit harder at, but I did manage to start it this morning. A new rule sheet for Flip and Spell, which is a game for DL deck, which does require you to print off a few things, but I think for today's environment, it's totally fine. And that's a game I'm looking forward to getting together. I'm looking forward to writing the rules for more games and sharing them. I'm looking forward to speaking with Jason and mainly getting to see the power contract kind of all done. But until, if you've got anything you're looking forward to or you've been enjoying, please, again, feel free to share anything that's respectful in the comments. And for now, all I've got left to say is bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Do, 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 do. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Oh, yeah. I'm going to pause the song. Alan Arts and asks, what am I doing tomorrow? I should actually talk about what I'm doing tomorrow on each live stream. Tomorrow I am talking about Just One. So if you have any questions about this game, then please ask, and I will talk about how much I have enjoyed it. It won the Spiel des Jahres, and spoiler alert, I really enjoyed this game. And again, bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. For now, see you tomorrow. But for now, bye, bye.